Yeah, welcome to our dive-in session today. So we're going to spend some time exploring our hearts. That's really going to be the focus of our session today. The heart is such a mystery, really, isn't it? When you think about it, you think about what gets you to inquire. I wonder how much of that is caused by the heart. We have all these feelings we don't know, feelings we don't understand. Why do I feel like that? Why does this hurt so much? Why do I feel this joy? So our hearts are a whole wonderful, mysterious realm of our inner world. And today we're going to look a little bit at our hearts and inquiry. So take a moment as we start and just notice how you're feeling. Just right here, whatever feelings here as we begin this evening or this morning. It's the invitation to be curious about and in touch with your heart, your feelings. So a couple of things about this forum. I think there's some people here for the first time. So this dive-in forum is really, it's a space to explore this practice of inquiry, right? This wonderful way of entering our inner world, getting in touch with ourselves and exploring it, finding out what's true for us, what's going on there. And it's a public forum. So it's a forum for beginners. It's a forum for people who are very experienced in inquiry. And as I look around the screen, I see people in both camps, people who've been inquiring for decades and people who may be very new to it. And it's a kind of unique space in that we actually get to talk about the nuts and bolts of inquiry itself, like of this process. How do we inquire? What does it mean to explore our inner world? So it's public. We want to treat everybody who's here with respect and with confidence so that we can explore. Remember that the meeting is being recorded, right? And we may use any parts of the meeting other than when you're in your breakout room. Like we may share some of those to help other people get a sense of inquiry and teach them about the practice. So you're here as part of that invitation to create a whole field of learning and discovery about this practice. And so yeah, so you want to share accordingly, right? You might keep that in mind as, you know, there may be people here who are completely new and we don't know everybody who's here in the room. So that's just the nature of this space, a very open invitation. Right. So through the session, we're going to begin with a short guided practice. And then there'll be a little bit of teaching, like a little bit of shining a light on this particular part of our experience. And then I'm going to invite you to do an exercise. And in the exercise, you can do it if you want to. You don't have to do it. You'll be put into a breakout room with one other person, and you'll do a very short 5-minute exercise each, and then have a discussion with each other. And then we all come back together and have space for questions and comments and discussion and further exploration. And I really invite, like if you are somebody who practices inquiry already, has a practice of inquiry, and you have questions about, you know, the heart and feelings and how to inquire with them, or you have difficulties with it, or feel free to bring it all, right? We'd love to hear your questions. Everybody can learn from your question. You're probably not the only one with it. So there's a space to really ask that. And also if you want to explore a little bit of what's up for you a little further. Okay, so let me see. Have I said everything I want to say by way of intro? Yeah, so Susan is here helping out. If you need to chat to Susan about anything, sort of co-host, she's co-hosting it with me. If you need to ask her about anything or the exercise or whatever, feel free to do that. Okay, so let's begin. We begin with a little guided practice. Right? And so you can close your eyes. And we're gonna make that move, make that inward turn towards our inner world. Right? Turning to the ocean of our inner world. And as you do, I want you to notice your attitude, your feeling towards yourself and your experience. This is a first moment to notice your heart. When you turn to your inquiry, when you approach yourself and your experience, how are you approaching yourself? Is it with care? Is it with curiosity? Is it with kindness, tenderness, courage? All of these are heart qualities. And notice if there are other kinds of feelings, trepidation or concern or frustration, if you're frustrated with yourself or your experience. So it's good to notice these things. Notice these feelings as we begin our practice together. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to make yourself be any other way that you are. You do want to experiment to see if you can find something in you that feels as if you might be friendly and curious. Friendly, interested in whatever it is that's happening for you. The dive in, we often begin remembering that friendly interest. We're not trying to push ourselves or change our experience. We just want to get closer to it in a warm and friendly and curious way. And take a breath. Nice, deep, easy breath into your belly, into your chest. Let it out through your mouth. Maybe another one like that. I'd have a feeling of settling into yourself. I want you to feel your feet on the ground. It's good to have our grounding, good to have our feet, our legs. Really sense the sensation of your feet, your legs, your butt on the chair if you're sitting. So you're in touch to some degree with your lower body, feet, legs, butt, your seat, your ground, whatever you notice there, however it is. And then include your hands, the actual sensation of your hands. Really getting in touch with the immediacy of whatever you're sensing. Sensing your arms, hands and arms and shoulders. So you're sensing your arms and legs. Just being in touch with this part of your body, this part of your experience. Notice how that affects you. How does it make you feel? How does it seem to affect your state? To be connecting with your arms and legs like this. Arms and legs are really good for when we get into the realm of the heart. We get into the realm of our feelings. It's really good to have the grounding of our arms and legs. Now, let your attention come to the center of your chest, to your heart. Not exactly your physical heart. It's kind of approximately in that area, but we're not really talking about that muscular pump that's sending the blood around your body. We're talking more about something that you might sense at a more subtle level in your chest, in the center of your chest. And notice how it is to tune into that area. Really take the time to sense. Maybe let your breath inhale into the center of your chest and exhale from it, if that makes sense to you. And we're going to take just a few minutes sitting quietly, breathing into our hearts and just sensing them. Letting yourself be in touch with this part of your experience. There's nothing you're supposed to find there. Whatever you're in touch with is absolutely perfect. But you want to be in touch with it. You want to be really feeling, sensing whatever there is to feel and sense, including if it's not much, including if there seems to be nothing there. And just hang out with that. And if your attention wanders off or you start thinking about things, just notice that and come back to sensing your heart. Just giving this all your attention for a few minutes. And take one more breath into your heart. And with the exhale, you can let go of the concentration. Once again, begin sensing your arms and your legs. Notice how you're feeling now. How it's affected you to pay attention to your heart for a few minutes. And then add looking. Listening. Add listening. Open up to the sounds. Taking in the whole soundscape. So you're sensing and you're listening. And then add looking. Slowly letting your eyes open. And including your visual sense, your visual perception of the world around you. Sensing, looking, listening. So when we're talking about heart, I think it's the kind of two levels, at least initially, that we could talk about it. So the most, I'm going to say the most obvious, or perhaps the most familiar aspect of what we call heart is really our feelings, right? So when we're talking about the heart, we're talking about not just the sensation in your chest, we're talking about the whole realm of feelings. So heart includes love and joy and kindness, generosity, passion, courage, delight, friendliness, openness, sweet, melting kind of love. So there's all kinds of love and different qualities of heart, different feelings. And that's part of heart. And heart also includes all of the affective part, the sort of feeling tone part of all of our reactions. Anger, sadness, frustration, and the way they make you feel, right? The feeling tone. So we talk about heart as a kind of layer within our experience. There's the mind, the consciousness, the knowing, the heart, the feeling, and then of course the belly, the sensing, which we looked at last time. So the heart is really a very broad realm, right? Very broad realm of all the different feelings that we have. From the fear and the anxiety and the terror, the hatred and the anger and the frustration, all the way through to the love and the goodness and the kindness and the compassion, the delight and the joy of our nature. I want you to just feel for a moment how it is to sort of, just open up to that whole realm. Contemplate that whole realm, your realm of feelings. Some of us have certain feelings that we're familiar with, that we know and that we allow, but not others. Certain kinds of feelings just never seem to pop up. You might consider your whole sort of feeling life. Right? Do you feel things intensely? Do you find feelings overwhelming? These are all questions. Are feelings something you're very at home with? Some people are like, feelings, yeah, I'm there. I do feelings. I can be with whatever feelings are going on. That's my thing. Don't ask me to understand it or to sense my body, but feeling, I got it. And so we all have different, we're in different places in relation to our heart. And our inquiry can really allow all of that. You don't need to be anywhere other than where you are. It's really just an invitation to see where you are in terms of your heart. As I said at the beginning, like, feelings are often a big catalyst for our inquiry. Because we have all these feelings, and we, especially the reactions, we get kind of disturbed by them, and we want to know, why am I feeling that way? You know, I'm feeling hurt, or I'm feeling disappointed, or I'm suddenly feeling this love or something for this person, and what's going on, and what's happening? So we need our friendly curiosity, our friendly interest, to open to our feelings, to be willing to feel them, to be willing to go there, and to be interested in them. Right? So it actually takes a great deal of skill and a great deal of, yeah, skill is a good word, time and practice and skill to really learn how to navigate our feelings skillfully. Right? How to navigate our feelings so that we don't get just swept away with them. Right? It's very easy, but feelings are exactly what sweeps us away, right? You feel some very intense emotion, it feels like it can sweep you away. So with our inquiry, sensing our arms and legs, people often say, why the arms and legs? Why do we keep sensing our arms and legs? Well, the big part of that answer is to give us a ground and a container to be with our feelings. Right? So that the next time you're feeling that kind of rising hatred, or that quaking anxiety, or that love that feels like you're just going to burst, you can sense your arms and legs. You're like, okay, I'm having this very intense feeling, and I got my arms and legs, right? There's something here that's kind of giving me some grounding. So that's so important. It's such a big support for our feelings, for exploring our feelings, getting to know our feelings. And the other thing that we have to learn how to do in time is how to hold our feelings, right? So you might have feelings, doesn't mean you have to go and act on them, right? So this is a fundamental thing about including feelings in inquiry. Inquiry does not mean you just get in touch with your feelings and you go and immediately act on it, right? I hate this person. I'm going to go and cut them out of my life, right? I never felt hatred before. It's amazing. I'm getting in touch with this feeling, right? So that is great. That is amazing. And there is something to really understand there. But rather than just immediately going to cut them out of your life, you need to find out, well, what is this hatred? How come it's happening? What's it about? So the feeling is telling you something very important. It's giving you very important information. And although feelings have, by their nature, this energy and this charge that kind of makes us want to just go with it, we got to learn how to stay present with it, stay curious about it, and explore it to find out what's going on. I was just thinking, in some ways, like the approach of mindfulness, very easy. It's an easy thing to teach, right? You notice the feeling and you let it go. You just try and let it go, right? With inquiry, is much more subtle, right? You notice the feeling, you get curious about it. You want to explore it and find out what it is. What is its truth? How come I'm feeling this way? So it's a deep exploration that we engage. We learn how to engage little by little. So I thought today I wanted to share with you something slightly different. I don't think we've quite done this before. And you know, I was I don't anymore, but I used to play the piano a lot. And as part of playing the piano, you have to do your 5-finger exercises, your scales, your arpeggios, your drills, all of this, right? It's kind of like that for any skill that we do, right? If you're going to learn to dance, you've got to do drills. If you're going to learn to swim, you've got to do swimming drills. If you want to become a skilled diver, right, you have to do drills to develop your skills. So there are exercises that we can do that are not exactly the whole inquiry, but which are like those scales, like doing those scales, strengthening a certain muscle, strengthening a certain part of our practice so that when we're inquiring, we have it available to us. One of the things we need to have available to us is contact with our feelings, right? To just be in touch with what you're feeling. And to be able to be in touch with what you're feeling and to say something about it. Right? So I'm feeling curious. I'm feeling a little apprehensive. I'm feeling a little bit of delight as I recognize that. I'm feeling not much. Feeling quiet. Feeling intimate. Right? So your feeling layer of your experience is something that you can practice getting in touch with, whatever it is, being with it, and just saying a word or two about it every now and again, right? So that you are kind of, it's like floating in that zone in the inner world, right? You're letting yourself stay with it, feel it, be in touch with the feeling, say what it is, just maintain a contact with your feeling state. And that feeling state, just like the waters of the ocean, you know, it kind of moves around, it might settle, it might change. You might suddenly remember something that happened earlier and you get some feeling comes up around that, you know. So all kinds of things can happen when we just let ourselves be in touch with our feelings. And I want to give you 2 levels at which you could do it. One is, like I said there, so you're just sort of describing the feeling that you're in touch with as you're having it. And then you give yourself some time and then you describe how it is now. Right? That's one thing you could do. I want to invite you to include every now and again, you might notice, what are you sensing in your heart? Right? What actually am I sensing right there in the middle of my chest? And you can just say what that is. Right? So as with all of the things we do, there's no right, there's no wrong. You can't get this wrong. Right? So if you sit there and you get into a ball of frustration and you're just feeling the frustration, that's great. Like just let yourself feel the frustration. Like, what's it like to have that feeling? Or if it becomes peaceful or it becomes joyful or it becomes, your heart can go all over the place, right? Or even if it feels like not much, you might not be used to attending to your feelings, in which case you might feel like, oh, I don't know what I feel. I really have no idea. I've never just sat and actually given myself time to feel my feelings as I'm having them. So let me see. And you can take as much time as you need. You don't have to rush something out, right? So that's the exercise. Basically, you're going to have 5 minutes. Each person will have 5 minutes just to hang out with their heart, hang out with your feelings, and just say what's going on, right? It's literally like you're lowering yourself down into the ocean and you're looking at this coral reef of your heart and your feelings, and you just say what you see. You say what you feel. You say what's there, right? That's all you need to do. So and see how that is. So you'll do that for 5 minutes each, and then take a further 5 minutes to sit together and just notice how that was, right? Have a discussion about what did you find? How was it to do that? How has it affected you to do that? Right. So you just see what's happening. And, you know, you can say, you might say, well, I'm feeling this. And you take a short break. You say, okay, now I'm feeling this. You could do it like that, or you could just say the feeling as you're having it. You know, however you explore your inner world, you're totally free to do this, however works for you. But I want you to be saying it, right? So it's not just totally sitting there quiet for 5 minutes and feeling your heart. You want to be saying what you are in touch with every so often. Okay, so that's the exercise. If you are not going to do the exercise, you might drop off and come back in, I'd say, I don't know, it's 3 minutes past 7 now. Exercise is 5 minutes each plus 5, so that's 15. Why don't you come back at 20 past? And you'll have an extra couple of minutes. We'll give you an extra couple of minutes to say hi to your partner, and before, you know, if you need to grab a drink or go to the bathroom before you start. Alrighty, so that's the exercise, and I will see you all back here at 20 past or just after. Enjoy. Susan is going to pop you into breakout rooms. Oh, and just to say, for the people who are new here, like if you're doing the exercise, remember, you're speaking and you're just doing this for you, right? You're not even doing it for the benefit of the other person there. It's really just for you to be noticing and in touch with your heart for 5 minutes. And then when you're listening, you want to be sensing your arms and legs and just listen, just witness. Don't react. They might be joyful, they might be crying, it doesn't matter. Your job is just to sense your arms and legs and be there, just be present and let them be wherever they are in their inner world. So it's a real gift of generosity to let the other person be wherever they are. And then you can have your 5-minute discussion together. All right, so we have now some space. So we got space for questions, comments, sharing. And just notice where you're at now. Like, how was it for you to spend 5 minutes just in touch with your heart? What did you find? How was it to do that? Was it easy? Was it difficult? Anything you'd like to share or ask, we'd love to hear. And if you want to do that, just to say, go to I think it's the participants button, and just raise your hand. And then yeah, Tess. Go ahead, Tess.
Hi, Dom, and hi, everyone.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you. Thank you for the invitation to get present with the heart and feelings. I've got a ton of questions, but I'll stick with one, which my partner and myself wanted to ask at the end of our discussion. And I'm currently feeling as if my heart is in my throat.
Oh, your heart is in your throat. Okay.
Yeah, so we were wondering about the connection between the head and the heart.
Yeah, that's interesting. What's it like when your heart is in your throat?
It's like unable to express the feelings.
Okay. So there's a clue, right? That's so in our inquiry, remember in our inquiry, right? You want to look to what you can tell from the immediacy of the experience, right? So it's like, as you're feeling your feelings, you begin to notice, oh, something happens, feels like my heart's in my throat, right? Then you can be curious about that. Like, okay, let it be like that. That's how it is. So how is it when my heart's in my throat? Like, what am I feeling there? Yeah. And that's how you can then continue exploring it, right? To find out what's going on there in a very immediate way. So what's it like when you feel, what do you sense in your throat? And what's that sensation like for you?
It's just like a stuck sensation. It's like I'm holding back. Yeah.
Do you have
And
any sense of what you're holding back?
I can share. I'm currently taking one of the caregivers for my frail mom, and I think it's grief. And I said to my partner that it feels better once you cry as well.
Hmm.
So it's just sometimes holding back the tears, or unable to say this is what I feel.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what happens is you just bring that in now. You mention that and share that.
It's just sadness.
Yeah. Right. Sure. Yes. And is it okay to allow the sadness? To let yourself feel sad? Yeah. 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 So to just give the feeling a little space. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So there are lots of ways from here, like to just let yourself feel the sadness and be with it and recognize it, just letting your heart have its sadness. Right? Yes. What happens in your throat as you allow that?
It feels free. Energy is flowing, and my tears is just sitting here.
Beautiful. So just recognizing the feeling, recognizing it, letting yourself feel it, that allows the energy, brings tears. The heart is the realm of tears. Yeah, as we get in touch with our heart, tears of sadness, of grief, of joy, all kinds of tears. So, learn to make friends with our tears. Yeah, Tess, lovely. Does it feel okay to stay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so stay close to your heart and in this situation with your mom. Like, makes sense, right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, Lee, next.
Hi, Dom.
Hi.
Thank you for having this today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think this is more of a quick comment than a question, but I'm curious. I had a hard time actually just staying with my heart, as like it would sort of lead me, oh, then my throat's closing, and or oh, then the solar plexus is getting in on the act, or there's a sort of, so it was actually the bigger challenge was kind of trying to not interpret or follow it around, but just sort of like staying right in.
Yeah.
At the heart.
Very good. So this is the difference between inquiring and just doing a drill, right? So what we were doing was just a drill, right? We were just like, it's just like if you went swimming in the sea and you just did a kicking drill, you wouldn't be able to go exploring, right? It wouldn't work. You're just gonna just keep kicking, because that's what we're doing now, right? So with this exercise, you just stayed with your heart. And whatever went on, other things could be happening. The idea is I'm just staying in touch with my heart. But when you inquire, of course, you let your experience do what it does, right? And then you follow that and you see, what's that about? Oh, it comes up into my throat. What's happening there? Or it goes into my soul. This gets involved, and you let that happen. And then you're curious about that, and you're sort of following the whole dynamic process, right? So that's great to just make very clear that what we did in the exercise was a very specific, focused kind of exercise. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, great. You're welcome. Yeah, Vishni. Hi, Vishni.
Hello, Dom. I was surprised at how many feelings I had, and it was like one after the other. I mean, partly that was, it started off feeling really warm and happy, and then I felt some nervousness, and then my phone went. There were the feelings surrounding who that was, what that would be about. So that put me in another state. Yeah. And then I heard something else going on, and that brought up feelings. So it was like one thing after another was going on.
That's beautiful. So you would sound like you were really seeing both, as you're just in touch with it yourself, there's a kind of movement of feelings, but the way that the external, that our life, right, just event by event brings up different feelings, right? So much to it, right? So much to explore there.
That's interesting, because that was my thing, because, you know, I have a problem finding feelings in me. And so I was saying to myself, oh, I did it wrong, because you're supposed to stay with the feeling.
Yes, well, you stayed with your heart, you stayed with the feelings, but the feelings changed, right? So things happened around you. I mean, this is the whole thing. When we really get in touch with our heart, and we're in touch with our heart as we go about our life, well, I mean, it's just there can be a whole, you know, whole show. There's a whole, a whole thing.
Sounds quite exhausting.
Right.
Okay.
So that, you know, so you say you have difficulty getting in touch with your feelings, and that gives you some way you can practice, right? You can just go and expose yourself to life, right, for 10 minutes and notice how you feel with all the different things that happen, right?
That's wonderful. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great. Great discovery. That's right. So it's like when we talk about our inquiring into our feelings, part of it then is both seeing the feeling, recognizing it, identifying it, feeling the energy in it, and beginning to understand what's it about, because it has some connection to what's going on, right? Most of our feelings, it's not like it happens in a void, right? Some things do, they're just purely internal process, but a lot of feelings are arising in the context of life. That's why, like in this path, our life is so much part of our inquiry, because it is what precipitates all these things within us. So that's a great discovery. Thanks, Mission.
Dom, there's a question in chat.
Oh yeah, a question in chat.
What is the difference between feeling, story, and being present?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. The difference between feeling, story, and being present. That's beautiful. In a certain way, you kind of got the three centers there, right? So the feeling is like the affect or the emotion, the feeling, right? The story is the mind or the recognition or the understanding or the interpretation or the mental associations, right? Those are the stories, the story about like what happened. It could be the events, right? The being present is the immediacy of the sensation, right? Being present is when you are directly, immediately, palpably sensing. So when you're sensing your body and you're sensing your feelings, You're sensing the joy. You're feeling the joy. You can feel the affect of the joy. You recognize that it's because your friend has just arrived and you're so happy to see them. And there's this joy. And you sense, you might actually sense the presence of joy in your heart. You might feel like a light, bubbly, sunshiny presence of joy right there in your chest. Possibility, right? So in a way, those are how all these different layers, I mean, it's all one experience, but we can see, we can differentiate all these different levels to it. And that's a big part of our inquiry, right? It's part of what I go into in the book is these different levels and how to inquire into them. So Ermtrud, I hope that's useful. Kair, you want to go ahead?
Hi, yeah. Well, it's kind of like Vishnu, where I was just going from one thing to another. And it was just, things were just evolving really, really quickly. It started with just like this feeling of this flower opening, and it made me feel very soft and tender. And then before long, I could feel this sort of pain coming up, and it evolved into sadness and kind of a tenderness and being moved. And then I very quickly went to being or seeing a child, and I was figuring it was my child self, feeling very sad and needing something. And before long, I became the adult, and I was offering a blanket, and I could kind of feel that blanket, that it just kind of went across my chest, and I could feel this blanket, and that I was laying it on the child in order to comfort the child. And it was all like, it happened so quickly. It was like, wow, I didn't expect this, you know? Yeah, it was quite amazing. Yeah.
Beautiful. So to see what happens just from the combination of being present with your heart and actually discriminating and recognizing what's going on.
And for me, it's a lot of imagery too, and connecting the imagery into feeling.
Exactly.
Right.
All of it together. Right? That's how the magic happens, right? That's how our experience really unfolds. So that's just the magic of inquiry. So that's an example that even just by doing nothing other than just feeling your heart and seeing what's there, it kind of unfolded in this whole meaningful journey. Different qualities. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. Isabel.
Hi, Dom.
Hi.
Everyone. I'm left with a lot of curiosity. And the one thing is, what is there a difference between feelings and emotions? Like, what's the difference? Because I noticed as I went in, I wanted a story for what I was feeling or sensing. And then I realized, but it doesn't feel true. And then it's like my heart sat in my diaphragm. And then I noticed all I wanted to do is sigh. And then I got to the truth of being very tired. But then the sigh brought up so much joy for me, just acknowledging that is actually the story. I'm just tired and I want to rest. And then I found the kind of release. That's the story for me. And it's so simple, but it's so wonderful, the sigh.
So and just to recognize that, you know, it's a story, but it's not just a mental story. It is a recognition. It is a mental recognition of the truth in your experience, right?
Yes.
So it was recognizing, oh, that's actually the truth. I'm tired. And in the recognition of that truth, right, that's what brought the joy. I think you said joy, right?
Yeah, it's like a joy, the joy inside. It's like, oh, there's my heart, because I felt like I couldn't feel my heart because I'm too tired. And then when I stayed with that, it showed like my heart emerged, feeling joyful, that I recognized it's all it is tiredness. It's not the layer of stories about why I'm tired. It's just that acknowledgement.
Yes.
So I thought that was interesting because it feels like it came from a place that I wasn't expecting.
Yes. And it sounds like you had some idea that in a certain way, you couldn't feel your heart because you were tired, right? Whereas
Yes,
actually,
yes.
what brought your heart into the picture was the recognition of the truth.
Hmm. And it just showed me
The truth
how,
tired.
and it kind of showed me how much I want to mentalize before I feel or sense. So I thought the heart was like something like I need a story now and I need to speak about. And then it was such an opposite experience, but so wonderful.
Right? It's a beautiful example. And it's a beautiful example of how the truth, the recognition, we could say the true story, the true understanding, or the true recognition of what's actually going on didn't come from your mind or from your story. It just emerged from the immediacy of the experience. So you'll often hear me say this, like I always use this phrase, just what can you tell from the immediacy of your experience? Like if you just let yourself feel it, how do you feel? Well, I just feel tired. Oh, it feels so good to recognize that, right? That's just the truth.
Yeah, and it feels good. Thank you.
Welcome. The heart is an organ of the truth. The heart loves the truth. Like every time we feel and recognize and say, get in touch with something true for us, the heart comes online, boy. That's one of the surest ways. Yeah, lovely. Thanks, Isabel. Great to see you here.
Thank you, Dom. Yeah, thank you for this opportunity.
And notice how your heart is now. So you've been listening to different people and different experiences. As Vishnu was saying or noticing, things that go on can affect us, right? So it might have affected your heart in some way. It might have touched you, it might have irritated you. It's all good. You can just notice, where's your heart now? Yeah, Michael. Hey.
Hey, Don.
Hi.
Something that was really interesting at the very beginning, when we were doing the guided practice, I experienced something. I had a huge amount of difficulty getting in touch with my heart center, and it felt a little bit like I was trying to pierce a membrane, almost like I made ice cream last night, and so I was separating egg yolks, and it just felt very similar to like I was trying to pop an egg yolk in a way, because once I got in touch, then there's that like merry-go-round of emotion and like feeling and emotion in it. But like until that point, it felt so jellyish and so kind of resistant. And it's almost like I became very aware of just how that's my kind of default of like resisting that stuff.
Yes.
And it's not an efficient helper in my world. So I'm not kind of, you know.
Yeah, but that's so, I'm so glad you say that, because I mean, it just goes to show, like on a feeling level, like on the affect level, we might just notice, oh, I don't feel much, right? But as you're really sensing, it sounds like you're sensing quite finely, and then you can recognize, oh, there's like a layer around it, right? There's a membrane around my heart. And then it sounded like you could sense the texture of it, like the jelly-like texture. And then it sounds like at some point it became obvious it was some kind of resistance, right? So this is wonderful stuff to find out about your heart, because then you can get curious about that, right? So it's one thing, as you noted, to go, well, okay, that's not helpful. It would be better if I were more in touch with my heart. And that might be true, right? But it's really interesting to find out about that resistance. Like, oh, what makes that happen? How come? What's the part of me that's doing that? That is this membrane or this jelly-like whatever. Yeah. So next time it shows up, you can find out about it. You can just be curious about it. Yeah, great. Yeah, so it also kind of reminds me of how we have to be so open, it's to just endlessly the knack with inquiry is just to be open to whatever you find there. So if you have some preconceived ideas, like, okay, Dom said we're doing heart, so I'm either going to feel an emotion or I'm going to feel, like love or joy or some sort of heartful presence. But no, actually, it's like a jelly-like membrane. Right? Whoa, that's interesting. Right? So our inquiry has to be that open, right? To go, well, okay, who said? I never experienced my heart as like an egg yolk with a membrane, but that's how it is. How curious, right? So yeah, I think that's a good reminder for us all. How's your heart now?
Tender, and feeling in touch. Like very, very touched by everyone's experiences.
Oh.
It's got a really nice sort of feeling of recognition. Like I'm in tune with everyone else and I'm feeling what they're talking about quite directly.
Yeah. Oh, tender feeling. Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right. So the more in touch we get with our heart, we begin to experience all sorts of things with it in different ways. Right. So now you're noticing certain kind of the way you're feeling connected with other people's experience. Right. So again, anyway, it just points to the potential of the heart. Lovely. Thank you. I can't stop here. And I wonder if you don't have to answer now, but it'd be interesting to see if there's some connection between the way you're experiencing it now, right, where you feel this particular kind of closeness and being affected by other people's experience and the membrane that was there before, right? So it may not be coincidental that there was that, and as you saw through that, now there's this. Right. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, thanks. And Michelle, go ahead.
Hi, I experienced various emotions, and but what I'm curious about is a teacher I once met said that the emotional aspect of the heart is just one aspect or just one layer of the heart, which I guess is the layer we looked at now, or at least that's the layer I got in touch with. And she said, like, there's an aspect or a layer of the heart that's not emotional. It's just more like an all-inclusive yes to everything I am, and etc. I guess it's more a spiritual heart. And I'm curious, in Diamond Approach, do you agree that there is such an aspect to heart, and how can I get there?
So let me ask you, so you got in touch with you got in touch with feelings. What kind of feelings did you get in touch with?
There was joy and amusement. And then there was sweetness and tenderness.
Oh, I see.
And there was also nervousness, performance sort of feeling, like a bit nervous.
Yes, yes. Okay, so it's
And yeah,
interesting. The mix of like some kind of reactions, like nervousness, whatever, but also like sweetness and tenderness. And what do you sense in your heart right now? Like if you sense your heart, what do you sense? What does it feel like?
open.
Open. What's the openness like? Describe that openness.
It's sweet, and I see it like almost like an image that's like a sun, but it doesn't have anything in the middle.
I see.
Uh,
And as you see that image and you sense that openness, right? Does it feel like that's inside you in your heart, or what's the sense?
it's almost more like it's in towards my back.
I see.
But in the same height.
Right. Okay, so we can get quite specific here. So it's a little further back, right? It's like a heart kind of cut out. Yeah, interesting. Open. Yeah, how's it affecting you right now?
I feel very awake. Yeah, present. I feel very present. It's like I'm looking at you, but I can also see what's in my side vision.
Yes. I see. That interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of heart, right? But some kind of heart of presence. Right?
Yeah.
It's not like an emotional reaction. It's some different kind of heart.
It is actually.
There you go. That's the answer. There it is.
That's weird. So
You
wow.
see, all we need to do is just be open to our heart, however it's showing up, right? And we're just kind of curious about it, and we notice what's it like. And very quickly, you know, all these different levels start to come in, right? The emotional level, the young parts of us, and the spiritual parts. It's all there, right? And all very closely interwoven, so that in our inquiry, we kind of slow everything down and we begin to discriminate and notice the different parts, and in time come to understand them. So that's really what we do in the Diamond approach. So I guess the short answer is yes, but now you know that for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it.
Thank you for helping me with that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for showing up with your heart.
Thank you.
Yeah, when we don't make assumptions about what the heart is a whole, I was going to say a whole universe, a whole multiverse. Who knows what you'll find there? There's a miraculous organ within our consciousness. Feels very nice to just sit here with you and feel the heart. So, we're, I think, slowly drawing to time. I think there are a couple of practical announcements to share with you. Susan popped them in the chat there. Our next forum, our next Dive In with Dom forum will be, what did I say, Susan? 14th, I think, of September. 14th of September. So and we'll be looking at that slippery and tricky and deeply misunderstood topic of the mind. So last time we looked at the belly, now we looked at the heart, and next time we're going to look at the mind. We're also starting the next inquiry course. So the Dive In Inquiry course, it's evolving. The whole course itself is evolving. So we're now calling it like the first module. So the first module, which some of you have done, we'll be offering that again in September. And then after that, after September, we're going to start the second module. So probably towards the end of the year, we'll offer a second module, which will actually focus on the 3 centers. So going deeper on the 3 centers. But the first course will start on the 13th of September. It's 5 Tuesday evenings. If you haven't done it, you're very welcome to come along and join us. Details, the link is there. If you're interested in the book, it's really based on the book. So we take a lot of the material in the book and add something new. So it's not just what is in the book. There is some fresh material in it too. Yeah, I think those are the big things. If you're interested, please feel free to contact Susan or me. If something you'd like to see in this forum, I mean, we have our next one planned, but if there's a particular topic you're interested in or would like to see addressed, write me. I'd love to hear them, and we may get to them in future meetings. So how can I have a look at the book? The book is available. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it, through your local bookseller, and you should be able to get ebooks if you're a Kindle reader or Apple Books, as well as hard copies. So it's generally available. So yeah, thank you for coming along. It's been lovely to sit with you, and yeah, this all happens with you. So I'm very happy you're here and to be able to share this space with you. And wish you a lovely evening or day, depending on where you are, and look forward to seeing you next time. So we'll end with a little bow, a bow from the heart. Feel your heart, a little bow. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dom. Thank everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you, Dom, and everybody.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank you. Thanks, Dom.
Bye, Diana.